brother Naquan, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, all honor and all glory to Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach, Malak Yahushai. Double honor to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Mashiach, Malak Yahushai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their body as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the ancient men, the children, the sisters out there holding it down in the households, married and unmarried, keeping the law, statutes, and the commandments, the men building up their households, and the elect of our people that have been scattered via various slave trades throughout the four corners of the earth. Shabbat shalom. This would be a before camp warning, right? Type of code cut I want to go into, right? In the spirit of a before camp warning. If you've been watching, you've been noticing somewhat of a overthrow out there in Russia, somewhat of an attempted overthrow. They haven't really taken it down, Moscow completely as of yet. You have the Wagner Group, you have the Russian Federation, so-called, and you have this civil conflict going on, and the world is watching. The world wants to see, and they're saying Putin right now is in the deep underground military base. They said they're looking for Vladimir Putin. He took a plane out to some military base, so he left the city. There's talk of him fleeing the city. There's actually talk of and video footage. And like I said, we're still trying to confirm all of this. We're still trying to look at all of these different witnesses and validate a lot of what we're looking at and seeing. But, you know, these things seem to be true, right? There's a lot of surveillance footage, video, camera. You got boots on the ground out there, people recording what they're actually seeing, eyewitnesses. And it's something that the world hasn't seen before. Russia, one of the top countries in the known world, top parties with China, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and many other up-and-coming global superpowers, is pretty much at the brink of its capital collapse. As you have this group that was once funded, right, by Russians and by Vladimir Putin to fight civil wars and to overthrow different kingdoms and countries. They had enough, man. And this is Bible prophecy, right? So when I saw this, you know, we thinking of a few prophecies, right? In the book of Matthew chapter, and I'm going to be able to quote them. Hopefully if I get to the campsite, I could kind of, park and pull a few precepts, but I'm going to paraphrase them for now. You know, the book of Matthew chapter 24, verse 6 and 7, the Lord said that we will hear of wars and rumors of wars, right? And this is indeed a rumor of war. Right, because this could be a big deal, man. Right, if they get overthrown, this is going to have a ripple effect or a domino effect on other countries in the world. Right, and this is happening not in some so-called third world country. A lot of what you see going on in Russia, you know, there's only talks of that happening like in Nigeria, Ghana, the Congo, parts in the land of Ham, or Afghanistan. Right, but it's rare that a European nation, rather Russia, wants to take that claim of being European or not. You know, we know they want to distance themselves from the West, but it's rare that a European nation is actually experiencing what they're going through. And they're looking like they're in a state of civil war right now. Now, we're going to keep watch. Right, the Lord said, Matthew chapter 24 and 44, about watching. He says, watch and pray, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. And in the book of Mark, the 13th chapter, 35 on down, it speaks the same thing. Right? Watch and pray, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. At midnight, or in the morning, or at the cock crowing, or in the evening, paraphrasing. Lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping. And we're definitely going to be keeping watch about what's going on out here in Moscow, right? And see what kind of effect that's going to have. Now, Moscow's the capital city. All right, this is the DC of Russia. So, you know, this is a big deal going on as you have internal stability, right? Or internal instability. There's another prophecy that we're thinking of in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, right? Slakia. And 2nd Ezra chapter 15, what did the Lord say? Right? The Lord said that there would be seditions, right? And the Lord said, one people shall stand up to fight against another with swords in their hands. They should not regard princes, nor governors, nor kings, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power, paraphrasing it. So that's 2nd Ezra 15. So you're going to see more seditions. You're going to see countries that you never ever thought would be divided become divided. You would have thought that Russia was full of nationalism, patriotism, full of Russian pride in the mother country. So when you have Russians overthrowing Russians, that's a big deal, man. There is really no other greater country that I can think of outside of Russia. You got China, right, and some other countries, but nationalism is pretty much, you know, one of the strongest assets of Russia. The fact that every citizen is on one accord, right? Every member of the government, every citizen, they are all being galvanized by the fact that Russia is the mother country and that they're superior up-and-coming powers. So now when you have a power like that with a strong sense of nationalism being divided, what does that say to the rest of the world? If Russia could fall apart at the seams, then any nation could fall apart at the seams. America could fall apart. It will fall apart at the seams. And the Lord said it best, man, in Proverbs. Madness out here. Proverbs chapter 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Right? The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So the Lord is really overthrowing these kingdoms. He is the one that's causing these nations, right? So like he is the one that's causing these nations to actually be divided. In the book of St. Matthew, chapter 12:25 on down, the Lord speaks about a nation being divided against itself and how it cannot stand. Right? So this is a big deal, man. Now this could be a distraction. You know, I'm trying to look at it from every lens. I'm looking at the lens first and foremost of Bible prophecy. But I'm also looking at the lens of knowing who our enemy is. This could be a distraction. It could be something that they're working on behind the scenes. Right? We really don't know. Right? Esau, you know, maybe they're saying these guys took a deal from the Americans out here to, you know, overthrow them out there in Russia. We really don't know. Because there's talks of that too. That this Wagner group, they're now being funded by these Americans out here in the West. And if that comes out to be the case, then there's no doubt in our mind that that's going to lead to actual war, big time war, between America and Russia. Now, Vladimir Putin, he could be making this up. He could say, well, look, America, because America's known for doing false flags. In the book of Nahum, chapter 3 and 4, one of their titles is the mistress of witchcrafts that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcraft. So they're known for propaganda. They're known for pushing the narrative in the world through the media and you know. So Vladimir America's to when really it's an inside job to make America look bad or look like they already are. Right? So there's a lot of different possibilities that can be going on with this situation. But you know, first and foremost, we know that this is prophecy. And the book of Luke, chapter 21, I believe 9 on down, Yahweh Shah speaks of commotions. Right? That there will be commotions in the earth. And you look that word commotions up, it means seditions and troubles overthrowing the earth. So these are rumors. Right? There are rumors. The Lord said in Jeremiah, like I said, if I'm able to park, Lord willing, you know, I get the cap, and I can get some parking, Lord willing, I can kind of, you know, pull a few precepts that I want want to get one in Jeremiah 50th chapter. I want to get one in Ezekiel the 7th chapter. Right, so there's a lot going on with the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. There's something new unfolding in this situation every day, or every hour, really. Right, every hour. The Lord said in Revelation, chapter 16 and 15, blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. So you want to definitely keep watching this situation, man. You want to keep watch. You want to look out for assassination attempts, bombs being dropped. You want to see other nations getting involved. Now, really, this is spreading. This is a big deal because now Belarus and Poland, which are actual countries that are nearest to Russia, what their government is doing now is they're telling their government, don't let any Russian civilians in, right? That we don't want this to trickle down into our country. So now you got European nations that aren't even involved kind of speaking up, saying, hey, look, whatever they got going on in Russia, don't bring it in our backyard. Poland told them straight up and down, we let you kind of get away with this Ukraine thing, but you better not bring this hell that you got going on in your country. Don't bring it to Poland. And you're going to have civilians trying to flee. You best believe civilians are going to want to flee. And some of these Russians, you know, they are, some of them are drunk off the wine of America. So a lot of them really don't like that so-called dictatorship that they've been under. Now, I can't quite remember how long Putin has been in office, but he's been in office well over, I think, 10 years. You know? And now, you know, they're calling it like a dictatorship. So a lot of these Russians, they're kind of fed up with the way of how the government has been being ran. And they're looking at more liberal countries like America, Canada, and they want their country to really be like that. You know, so they really don't want to stay in Russia. They want to get out of there. For safety's sake, you know, they're looking at it as an opportunity to finally get away. And these other countries in Europe, they said, no, you're not coming in here. Right? If you think you want to leave Russia, come to Poland, no. Right? If you think that you want to leave Russia, come to Belarus, no. And really, Belarus and Russia are supposed to be top allies. If you're studying geopolitics, Belarus was supposed to help Russia and Ukraine. There was always talks of Belarus. I can't remember their leader's name, right? But there was always talks of Belarus coming to help Russia out in that situation, you know? So this is a big situation. We're waiting to see what heats up. We want to see other nations get involved. This is not something we want to see end. Right? The Lord said in 2 Peter chapter 3 and 11 and on down, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of the Most High. So we're looking for this place to go down fast, man. You know, this excites us when we see nations being divided, because in our mind, we look at the prophecies and we see each and every prophecy that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua has spoken of, and we're watching them come to pass. Right? The Lord said in the book of Matthew chapter 3 and 16, for many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things that you see. Right? And to hear those things that you hear, paraphrasing. Right? But blessed are your eyes, for they see and they hear. Right? So the Lord said that you're living in a set time when you actually get to watch this man go down. And you get to watch this world go down. Right? You're living in a time like none other, man. You're watching Russia be taken down in a civil war. Right? You're watching the Lord stir the spirits up. Now, this could also be some of the spirits of the frogs pursuant to the book of Revelation, the 16th chapter. Right? The spirits of devils working miracles to gather these armies or these nations together for the great day and the battle of God Almighty, paraphrasing. Revelation, the 16th chapter. So this could be stirring up these nations for World War III, you know, on a global level. Now, what you see going on in Russia is getting violent, but you've seen that going on in France, England. If you've been watching Germany, most Western European nations over the past 3 years have had a rapid increase in sedition and civilian disorder, right? You had the Yellow Jacket Parade. You had it during the time of the pestilence when they were fighting against the lockdown. You had this going on for some time. But now it's hitting other places on the earth. It's hitting Russia now. It was hitting India. It was hitting China. Now you best believe it's going to hit America. You can say, well, it's not going to hit America. America's a different kind of place. Well, you got to be outside of your mind to think that America's not going to get touched. America's going to get touched by civil war, man. Rather, it's due to the rapid rise of food prices, gas prices, a withering economy, war. This place will go down too. And I want to see tanks out on the streets, man. Right? We want to see martial law. We want to see this place be infested by sedition and chaos. Right? So we're going to keep watch. We're going to keep watching what's going on with Russia. We're going to see what Putin, what he's doing through the spirit and power of the Most High and his son Yahweh Shah, and what kind of orders he's going to be giving out. Like I said, they said that this man is, as we speak, he's in a deep underground military base. Right? In a deep underground military base. And those military bases, that's Bible prophecy too. You know? That's none other than the book of Revelation, the 6th chapter, 16 or down. When they say to the mountains and to the rocks, fall on us. Right? Every great man, every bondman, every rich man, every poor man hid themselves in the dens and the caves of the earth, saying to the rocks and to the mountains, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne. Right? For the day, for the wrath of the Lamb is come, and who shall be able to stand? Paraphrasing. Right? So you're going to have these elites, as things heat up, go into these military bases. And it's not, it may just start with Putin, but it's going to be a lot of these Edomites, man. A lot of these Edomites are going to go deep into these underground military bunkers and these military bases to escape the civilian unrest that's coming to their country. All right? And we got to be on the lookout for that. And those are really going to be some of our first slaves. The elite, when these bombs start dropping, they're not going to be out living in their mansions and castles. Do you really think that the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and these elites are going to be living and dwelling in their multi-million-dollar mansions and castles in the day of judgment? No. Right? No. Hell no. They're going to have places that they already set up to dwell in, man. Stuff that's off the grid. You're not going to be able to find it in Google Maps. Right? You're not going to be able to find it in damn on MapQuest. Right? These are places, Salaki, that Jake, that you're not going to have access to, man. And that's where the elites are going to be hiding out until the day of judgment, until you get them out of those military bunkers and those military bases. Right? So let me get this precept, right? Salaki. Right? Pull it up to cap through the spirit of poverty. How about Shemel? Let's actually go to 2nd Ezra. Right? Let's go to 2nd Ezra, chapter 15. And I'm going to start at verse 15. All right, 2nd Ezra, chapter 15 and 15. I'm going to start at 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. So that one people could be many things. First of all, that one people could be one race against another race. That can be the Israelites against the Edomites. It could be the Moabites against the Elamites. It can be the Ishmaelites against the Amalekites. That's the one people fighting against another. But that one people can also be the government against the citizens. The citizens and the taxpayers against the parliament and the elites. Right? Okay, so throw out for that. Yeah, Faye said Vladimir Putin has been reigning for 11 years and 47 days. Yeah, and Like I said, a lot of these Russians, they're fed up with that, man. Right? They're looking at how America runs and Canada, and they're drunk. They have been convinced and seduced that how the West operates is the standard, the golden way of life. Okay, I bear witness that I remember hearing if an assassination on Putin is attempted, that's a declaration of war. Right? You see that? So this guy been in office for 11 damn years, man. Like a dictator. And these guys had enough. They had enough. And the people that are overthrowing him are Russians. These were once part of the military. They're pretty much, when you look it up, like a mercenary group. Right? And that happened in Rome. And when you study the ancient Romans and the Roman Empire chiefly, a lot of the Roman emperors were overthrown by mercenaries and by their Praetorian Guard, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and by army men in their legions that they hired. All right, so this guy been in office for 11 years, and they're fed up with this man. So now there's one people standing up to fight against another with swords in their hands, and that's what you're watching right now on the news. Okay, all right, HBK Int said the UN just called an emergency meeting. You see that? All right. The UN just called an emergency meeting. All right, so there's a lot going on, man. We want to see what they say. We want to see what they say. So the world is on the edge of their seat right now. While Jake is worried about the NBA draft, that's all I'm seeing. Jake is worried about the next rap battle and fights going on, like the brother Nakamaya was said. There's talks of Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk fighting. That's what Jake is worried about. You're worried about fighting vanity, and things getting crazy out here, man. In Russia, of all places, like I said, one of the most nations that practice nationalism. One of the top nations in nationalism, top countries, and pride, patriotism. Can the brother pull a definition of nationalism and patriotism? Baba Kasha, right? Patriotism and nationalism. And there was no place on the earth that exemplified that like Russia, right? Patriotism or nationalism. Well, let's see if we can get that definition, because you see that falling apart. These philosophies of these other nations is falling apart. And what they stood for is crumbling and ripping apart at the seams. So let me read this again. 2 Ezra 15:15. For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people, in this context, that's the citizens, right? Your Wagner group, these mercenaries, and one people shall stand up to fight against another with swords in their hands. Right? The water for that, divinely fashioned, right? Nationalism. Identification with one's own nation and support for its interest, especially to the exclusion or detriment of the interest of other nations. You see that? Which means what? You're for your own country. And Russia was like that at one time. Who would have ever thought that Russia would be divided? Like I said, this stuff you hear about in sub-Saharan Africa, man. Amongst the Ishmaelites. Amongst the Israelites, man. We're always divided. But when you're looking at these Russians, you know, they're supposed to be the standard of nationalism. But this is showing you the power and strength of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. He could break anything apart. Anything that you thought would last forever and stand forever, the Most High, and one night could overthrow it and turn it, rip it apart and turn it upside down. Okay, patriotism. From I Bear Witness, the water for that. The quality, and everybody else to put the definition, right? Quality of being patriotic, devotion to, and vigorous support for one's country, right? Devotion to or vigorous support for one's country. A highly decorated officer of unquestionable integrity and patriotism. All right, let's go to the book of Jeremiah, right? Chapter 50 and 41. I believe that's what I want. Right, let's go to Jeremiah, right, chapter 50. And really, we should be nationalists, man. Right? We should be nationalists. We should exemplify patriotism because we are the ones that have the true patriarchs. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, let's get this precept. I'm going to go back to 2nd Ezra. Okay, this is Jeremiah chapter 50 and 46. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 50 and 46. And lest your heart faint, and ye shall fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor. And violence in the land, ruler against ruler. So the Lord said you're going to hear these rumors of countries being overthrown, of all hell breaking loose, seditions in the earth, right? You're going to see these things, right? You're going to see and hear about these things, and it's only going to increase, man. See, the Most High, he's not going to let up. This place is going to keep heating up. It's like a thermostat. It's like as you approach the summertime, that temperature keep rising and rising and rising, right? And that's in Luke, the 21st chapter, right? And it's going to keep increasing and keep increasing. Things are going to keep heating up, man. And we're going to keep watching. And we're looking for these guys to shoot missiles in Moscow, rocket-propelled grenades. We're looking for boots to be on the ground. We're looking for Moscow to be overthrown, because it's really a sign of what's going to come to America. It's all the foreshadowing of what's coming to Babylon the Great. All right, these days draw nigh, man. The Lord, let me read that again. And lest your heart faint, and ye shall fear for the rumor that should be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor, because there's always something circulating in the news about what's going to happen. And violence in the land, ruler against ruler. You got the ruler, Putin, against the ruler of the Wagner Group and the mercenaries. You have ruler against ruler and violence in the land. You can't get around it. So let's go back to 2nd Ezra, right? 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 16. It reads, for there should be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So the Bible is letting you know that this is not the time of old. There was a time from the 1700s. Russia used to be extremely unified, man. And I'm talking from the time of when you study the Russian history of Catherine the Great, Peter the Great, right? Even during the time of the early Soviet Republic and a widespread of communism, no matter what state Russia's in, whatever type of government system they have, they're always unified. You're always unified. When they were a federation, when they were a communist party, right? Whatever they are now, they are always unified. And the citizens, the thing about this verse is that the citizens always trusted the government. They really believed that the government always had their best interest at heart. And every decision was made to benefit and uplift the Russian citizens. So they trusted these leaders. They trusted Stalin. They trusted Lenin. They trust Putin. They trusted Gorbachev. They trusted all of these different men in time past. But now, at the breaking point of the world, as this place goes down, Yahweh Bashmah is taking spirits from the third heaven and putting them on men to make them not trust their government. And it's not even not trust them. They don't even care about they're willing to kill these kings. If these guys get hands on Putin, you think they're going to play tic-tac-toe with this man? That's why he had to get out of there. He know that this is not some ragtime protest. They're looking for the Moscow to go down. So Putin's like, look, I got to get out of here because they're not going to regard my life. This is like that movie they made, Olympus Has Fallen. If you've seen Olympus Fallen, that had Morgan Freeman, Gerard Butler, you know, which was King Leonidas from 300. They had a lot of different people in that movie, you know, and that movie is pretty much what's going on in Moscow. It's like Moscow has fallen, right? That was a box office movie, man. That was one of the top movies they made at that time. That's like 10 years old or so. And it show you how easy it was for them to overthrow that White House. Now we're looking at it going on in Moscow. Now it's Moscow has fallen, right? Not yet, but we hoping it fall. We hoping this place goes down. We're looking for all of these worldly cities and heavens and empires to vanish away. All right? So let's read on. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right? Reading on. A man, 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. And that's why Poland, if you look at what Poland is doing, you're not going to be able to go into Warsaw. You're not going to be able to go into Belarus. They're shutting those cities off. And war is one of the main reasons. It could be disease or pestilence, famine, and war. Right? For those three main reasons, countries will block the borders off because they don't want you coming in bringing a disease. They don't want you coming in bringing that pestilence or that plague. They don't want you coming in during the time of war, because then they got to seek refuge for you. And you bringing that drama and them politics and that madness with you. So they will shut the borders off in the time of war and during the time of famine, because they got to take care of their people. They're not looking to take care of you. So now you got Eastern European countries like Poland and Belarus. You're going to have Romania. You're going to have these Czech countries. They're going to stop these Russians from trying to leave. And they're going to be caught out there. And they're going to have to deal with it, because it's Bible prophecy. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. And Moscow is being troubled. DC is going to be troubled. Beijing is going to be troubled. London and Paris is going to be troubled. Tokyo and Singapore is going to be troubled. All right, that's a good precept from the brother. Ecclesiastes chapter 25 and 7. Right? There be 10 things which I have judged in my heart to be happy. Right? And the 10th I will utter with my tongue, paraphrasing. A man that hath joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. See that? Jake and Eve. Esau. Right? So they don't know what's going on. This is what Eve is into. All hell is breaking loose, and Eve is on a blind date with her oppressor. Right? Profaning the Sabbath. Look at this. Absolute madness. All hell is breaking loose on the earth. All types of madness going on in the earth. Wars and seditions. Global war. Instability. Overthrows. And this is what Eve is into, man. Right? So this place is going down, man. And the Lord is taking 2/3 with him. He's taking 2/3 to go down with him. All right, let me read on. Let me go back to the book of Mark. All right, this is what we're about to see at Captain. We're about to see a lot of evil out here, man. Right, and a lot of madness and vexation of spirits. Let's go to the book of Luke. Right, chapter 21. And Russia plays a major role in Bible prophecy. Right? Look at this. Right? Look at this. And that Eve is about maybe like 25, maybe 29, 30. That Edomite's like 38, 40. Right? 41, man. So let me continue with the lesson. I was saying Russia plays a major role in Bible prophecy, because you have Gog and Magog, right? You have Ezekiel the 38th chapter, the 39th chapter, Isaiah the 13th chapter, 2nd Ezra the 11th to 12th chapter, Russia's in a lot of Bible prophecies, man. Revelation, the 20th chapter. So it's not like it's a small town, so-called third world country. This is a big deal if this place go down, man. Right, so let me read on. I'm going to read this verse number, I had the cat. All right. This is the book of St. Luke, chapter 21 and verse 25. Here's a prophecy, right? And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. So who are you living at? Weren't there signs in the sun? Didn't they have these so-called blood suns opening up on the earth? Weren't there blood moons for almost 10 days straight? So you had these signs in the sun and the moon. You have these eclipses and these things that man can't describe. It's all over the news. People are posting it, first-hand witnesses, trying to figure out what's going on with the stars and what is that green thing? Is that a UFO that crashed? Is that a blood moon? So you have that prophecy coming to pass. But also, it reads, and upon the earth, distress of nations. Distress of nations with perplexity. Perplexity is being confounded. People try to figure out what's going on. Why is Russia, one of the most patriotic nations on the earth, having a somewhat of a civil war? Right? An overthrow. What's going on, man? There's perplexity amongst the nations. The United Nations is having a meeting trying to figure this thing out. Everybody's trying to figure out what's going on and how would this affect Western powers. Right? How is this going to lead up to World War III? What's going on the earth, man? So we're going to keep watch. We're going to keep watching these prophecies, and we're going to keep watch on the geopolitics, and we're going to keep watch about what Yahweh Bahasham Shah is actually doing on the earth. And if we don't keep watch, who else is going to keep watch, man? So go to Isaiah the 21st chapter. Shalom. Right? This is the book of Isaiah chapter 21. And let's go to verse 6. All right? This is Isaiah chapter 21 and verse 6. For thus hath the Lord said unto me, go, set a watchman, let him declare what he seeth. So it's our job to declare what we see, man. It's our job to actually show what's going on in the earth. Whatever we see going on in Russia, China, United Kingdom, Babylon the Great, in our backyard, in the sun, with the moon, and we're keeping watch. You got to be like the Secret Service out here, man. When they watch over the president, or like a bodyguard, when they're watching over these celebrities, they kind of noticing people, man. They look at a guy, hey, this guy's body language ain't really right. This guy keep kind of shuffling his feet. This guy keep leaving and coming back. Then another, hey, this guy got all black on. Look, we got 10 more minutes. We got 10 more minutes. We got to get out of here. They're constantly keeping watch. You got to keep watching this thing, man. Right? You got to constantly, hold on, that ain't right. What's going on in Russia? Hold on, that's 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. Hold on, that's Mark the 13th chapter. Okay, that's Ezekiel 7. Okay, that's the rumor. Okay, that's Isaiah 21. And you got to kind of watching this thing. Right? The Lord said what? Go set a watchman and let him declare what he seeth. And he saw a chariot with a couple of horsemen. So he sees war coming on the scene. Right now we see tanks with a couple of soldiers. Right? We see battle tanks with a couple of missiles. We see cities being overthrown. Like the prophet in Isaiah said, I see a chariot with a couple of horsemen. We see tanks coming in. We see the wars coming on the earth. And he's describing war. See, a chariot is an actual ancient tank. All right? It's a powered vehicle of war. That's what a chariot is. And I'm not talking about a so-called UFO. Right? We're talking about an actual ancient chariot. And now there's tanks on the ground out there. So we see these things. This is Isaiah 21 and 7. And he saw a chariot with a couple of horsemen. A chariot of asses and a chariot of camels. And here's the point. And he hearkened diligently with much heed. Meaning he paid attention. He's constantly watching. He's constantly hearkening diligently, looking for the sound and hearing anything that can kind of affect the state of his people. And like Benjamin Israel said, hey, civil war is coming to Babylon. I can feel it, man. Hey, we can feel it, man. Right? We're hoping that Baltimore gets overthrown. Philly, DC, New York, LA, Chicago, Miami, Houston, Boston, Seattle, Memphis, Little Rock. Every major city, we hope that there's tanks out here in the streets. Now, really, if you've been watching, there was talk of a lot of military activity going on in the past 2 weeks. And these cities. If you've been watching, that was hot talk. About 2 weeks ago, people were reporting a lot of military activity in America. In Philly, Chicago, LA, there were jets, tanks being pushed out. Right? There was a lot going on, man. So we're kind of seeing what's going on in America. Are they going to try to do this here? You know? Are they going to blame something on the black Hebrew Israelites? It's just what's going on in the earth, man. So we're watching to see what Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is doing. Right? But with that, I'm going to close up. Giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Most High willing you were edified. Kwam Yashalom. Shalom.